Thank you very much, Jeremy. And our next presenter will be Terry Medley. And before Terry starts, I want to acknowledge one more time that this Livestock and Poultry Environmental Learning Center webcast is made possible by financial assistance through the National Institute of Food and Agriculture program, which is funding our Beginning Farmers and Ranchers Development Program. With that, Terry, please go ahead.
Thanks, Saqib. Good afternoon, everybody. As Saqib said, I'm Terry Medley. I'm the Section Chief with the Livestock Waste Management Program at the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. And today I want to give you a brief overview of Kansas agricultural waste storage structure closure requirements. Kansas has had closure statutes since 1998, and we've had swine closure regs also since 1998, and non-swine closure requirement regulations since 2006. I've got them listed up here where you can find those regulations. I'm not going to read them to you, but if you need some light reading sometime, you're welcome to go to our website to look at them and see what they have to say. Closure plans in Kansas must be approved by the Kansas Department of Health and Environment prior to permit issuance for any swine facility that is greater than 3,725 animal units, or any federally or NPDES permitted facility located over the equus beds proposing new construction or expansion or is applying for renewal. Any facility, state or federally permitted, which chooses to close a waste storage structure, or if closure is mandated by the department, also must have an approved closure plan prior to the closing of the structure or the facility. Kansas closure plans, at a minimum, must include a description of all animal waste management system components utilized to contain, control, or store process waste. It has to include a description of the procedures used to remove and dispose of process waste, for example, agitation and injection, in accordance with the nutrient management plan or waste management plan. It also must include a description of the maintenance, deactivation, conversion, or demolition of all structures. And we're going to cover that a little bit more in the next slide. And lastly, at a minimum, it must include a description and detailed drawings for the plugging of any and all groundwater monitoring wells at the facility. As I mentioned in the previous slide, the closure plan must describe the maintenance, deactivation, conversion, or demolition of the structures. In Kansas regulations, we provide 4 options for that, and the first one is removing the berms and grading and revegetating to provide drainage and erosion control. The second option would be to leave in place for use as a freshwater pond or reservoir, and if they do that, we have some other provisions that go with that. Or they can retain it for future use as part of an animal waste management system. So if they're trying to close a structure because they don't want to be in operation, they can leave it there in case they decide to lease or sell the property and somebody else start a facility there. Or the last option would be any other approved method by the department. After the department receives closure notification, we require that the facility be closed within 6 months. We do have a variance procedure in place which allows for an extension of that time if the facility needs it for legitimate purposes. The department will document the sludge removal from the structures, and if the resources allow, we will also view the soil sampling activities. We will review the soil sample analysis and document that all components of the closure plan have been completed. Once all that's documented, we will close the permit for the facility. Our sampling strategy after the liner has been removed is based on composite samples from the bottom and sides. The number of composite samples that we require depends on the size of the structure. If it's less than 10,000 square feet, we require 1 composite sample. If it's 10,000 square feet to 1 acre in size, we require 2 composite samples. And if it's 1 to 3 acres in size, we require four composite samples. Once the liner has been removed and they take soil samples, the remedial nutrient levels that can be left in place depend on the future use of the site. In areas where no vegetation will be present, the samples have to show 85 milligrams per kilogram or less of total nitrate plus ammonia in the upper 8 inches. Below 8 inches, it has to be down to 40 milligrams per kilogram or less of total nitrate plus ammonia. In areas where vegetation will be present, the upper 24 inches of the soil has to be down to 200 milligrams per kilogram or less of total nitrate plus ammonia, or the maximum application rate recommended by Kansas State University for the particular crop that will be grown there. And below 24 inches, it has to be down to 40 milligrams per kilogram or less of total nitrate plus ammonia. Our closure cost estimates only apply to large swine, and it varies greatly when they come in. We do not actually track the actual closure cost, just estimates that it's going to take to close it. And like I said, it varies greatly. It's anywhere from $6 a head to $145 per head, but generally when they come in, it's around $35 per head. And with that, that's all I have, Sakib. I'll turn it back over to you.